I should have known that survival would be a hell of its own. It's the phrase I heard no less than 12 times after repeatedly getting my arse handed to me by one of Krat's rare human inhabitants. It always cut deep and not once became annoying, however, because failing the optional mini-boss encounter was always due to my own impatience, of course, and it also served to highlight the pain and suffering that those left behind in the city, overrun by blood-hungry marionettes, are routinely forced to experience. Playing as a puppet myself, the iconic Pinocchio no less, I saw it as a courtesy to put the survivor out of their misery before moving on. You're welcome. Such small stories and nuggets of context are everywhere to be found within this fictional European city, being one of the many key inspirations LiesofP takes away from, you guessed it, Bloodborne, and to a lesser degree, other games made in the Dark Souls mold. Yet while it's true that developer Round8 Studio's action RPG probably wouldn't exist were it not for From Software laying the groundwork beforehand, the game offers just enough iteration on the pre-established Souls-like formula to help it stand apart all on its own. Chief amongst them is the source material it's based on, because yes, much more than just a cheap gimmick, this is indeed a rather warped and twisted adaptation of Carlo Collodi's 1883 novel about the boy who was told he should never lie for fear of facing the consequences. It's an irony LiesofP constantly toys with by placing you in scenarios where you have no other choice but to lie. Otherwise, you run the risk of being cut off from certain paths, optional item-laden rooms, and, as in at least one instance early on, not being able to progress the story. Discovering what these ramifications eventually are proves a constant source of intrigue throughout the game. The cricket-like AI Gemini acts as your conscious guide, while Sophia as the blue fairy is who you see to level up your attributes back at your hotel base, and then you have your father Geppetto, an inventor and the man framed as the person responsible for Krat's current depressing state. The setup is brief, sure, but wider events unravel at a solid pace as you enter each new location of Krat, and it was never not fun to see how LiesofP chose to translate other familiar elements of the story into either characters, mechanics, or gameplay. Pinocchio himself never had a mechanical left arm or a penchant for dodge rolling in the original stories, at least from what I remember, but now I kind of wish he did. Your quest to become a real boy in LiesofP involves a lot of fraught and punishing encounters with the local puppet populace, as expected. There is one area where it even manages to surpass Bloodborne though, by nature of being a modern release, and that's in how running at 60 frames per second on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X expertly complements its more fluid style of combat. Thank heavens too, seeing as most of your enemies are animatronic in nature and often prone to approaching and attacking in appropriately jerky fashion. Not depleting all your power cells still means watching your timing and stamina alongside using your inherently spry movement to your advantage. Combat is made of the usual combination of blocks, dodges, light and heavy attacks. That said, LiesofP allows you to tweak the effectiveness of each by implementing a system called weapon assembly, whereby every new weapon you discover or purchase is comprised of not one, but two components, a handle and a blade, that can be interchanged with one another to become more effective to your playstyle. A baton, for example, doesn't quite have the same range as your starting sword, but with the sword's handle and baton's blunt end combined, you could soon benefit from the perks of both items. This interchangeable weapon system combines with the various Legion arm abilities to really shake up the naturally fluid combat in a manner I haven't seen in a game of this style before. It's yet another way that LiesofP uses the basis of Pinocchio to its advantage on a deeper level, as opposed to making almost every foe a puppet and simply calling it a day. Because while your starting Legion arm simply lets you pull off a strong punch, it isn't long before you're gifted options capable of zapping a tight-knit group of enemies with electricity, or grappling someone over to you, "get over here" style, so as to let you follow up with a much more brutal attack. Creative choices in combat are further backed up by slight Souls-like twists, such as how any ergo, i.e. this game's version of Souls, that you lose during a boss battle is placed outside of the door instead of in the arena, as well as the ability to gain a life-healing power cell back once the supply is depleted, providing you can land enough enemy attacks. For all these reasons and more, I always felt like I had a fighting chance against whatever adversary was stood before me in LiesofP. It's fluid, fair, and firm. Speaking of boss fights, this wouldn't be an action RPG worthy of Bloodborne comparisons without them, and in addition to the human scale mini-bosses that gift you with new outfits and masks upon their defeat, there's a litany of giants prone to challenge and tower over you. Whether pitched as a hulking mechanical watchman primed to electrify you, or a multi-armed theatre king spinning and whirling as the stage and curtains burn around you, there's no shortage of set-piece encounters designed to put your timing and patience to the test. In that regard, I'm man enough to admit that there was a couple I wouldn't have defeated were it not for the ability to summon a Spectre ally using star fragments. Overall, LiesofP isn't a grand revolution of the Souls-like formula. What it is, however, is a confident and refined addition into the genre's canon that makes excellent, though very liberal, use of its source material to create a punishing yet infinitely rewarding and dark journey worth embarking on. The generous approach to weapons and combat alone would be enough for me to recommend it to any Dark Souls, Elden Ring or Bloodborne fan. Yet layered on top of this is a genuinely intriguing world that contains countless secrets to uncover and various satisfying enemy encounters to fight through. The result is a more brutal take on the Pinocchio fairy tale you won't soon forget. We give LiesofP a 4 out of 5. So there you have it for our review of LiesofP, guys. Do you plan on picking this one up? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, be sure to leave it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the Mirror Gaming YouTube channel to enjoy even more videos like this. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.